day, everyone. Now, let's dive into the Educational Act number 74, the monolingual. To understand the evolution of language in Philippine education, it is essential to look at key historical points. So, allow me to start. Educational Act number 74, 1901. This act was established during the early period of American colonization of the Philippines. It laid the foundation for the public school system in the Philippines. Okay? So English as the medium of the instructions. A crucial aspect of Act number 74 was the implementation of English as the primary language of instruction in public schools. This established a monolingual education system centered on English. So this was to help the United States to help control and assimilate the Filipino people. So the impact of this had a profound and lasting impact on Philippine society, making English a widely used language. So the 1935 Constitution and Executive Order number 253 shifting towards a national language. So the 1935 Constitution recognized the need for a national language in 1937. So the Tagalog was chosen as the basis for the national language, later to be known as Filipino. So Executive Order number 253, this order mandated the teaching of Tagalog as a separate subject in schools at all levels, primary, secondary, and teachers' colleges. So this marked a significant shift, introducing the national language into the educational curriculum transition. So the transition of this action began away from the strictly monolingual English system and began to add the national language into the schooling system. So in summary, the Act of number 74 established an English-centric monolingual education system. So the 1935 Constitution and Executive Order number 253 initiated the inclusion of Tagalog, or also known in Filipino, in the curriculum, beginning the change from a strictly monolingual system to a system that incorporated the national language. So these historical developments have shaped the complex linguistic landscape of the Philippine education.
Good day, everyone. So I am Margaret Enriquez, and I will discuss about the 1935 Constitution and the adoption of Tagalog in 1937. So, the 1935 Philippine Constitution played a crucial role in shaping the national language, recognizing its importance in fostering unity and national identity. So this led to the creation of the Institute of National Language, or the INL, and eventually the Declaration of Tagalog as the basis for the national language through Executive Order number 134 issued by President Manuel L. Quezon in 1937. So now let's dive in more to the discussions as I discuss it to you furthermore. The role of the 1935 constitutions during the Commonwealth period. The need for a national language became evident as the country sought to establish a distinct national identity separate from its colonial past. So the 1935 Constitution mandated the development and adoption of a national language based on one of the existing native languages. However, it also maintained that English and Spanish would remain official language until further legislations determined otherwise. So this was said that the 1935 Constitution drafted during the Commonwealth period. So it recognized the need for a national language to foster unity and national identity. And it mandated that a common language be developed and adopted based on one of the existing native languages. So the formation of the Institute of National Language, also known as the INL, is to implement this mandate, the government established the Institute of National Language (INL). This body was tasked with researching and selecting the most suitable native language as the foundation for the native language. So its factors such as linguistic structure, widespread use, and cultural significance were considered in the selection process. So it says that to fulfill this constitutional mandate, the Institute of National Language, which is the INL, was established to direct the selections, propagations, and development of the national language. Moving forward, so after through study, the INL recommended Tagalog as the basis for the national language on December 30, 1937, which is President Quezon issued the Executive Order Number 134. So it is officially declared Tagalog as the foundation of the national language. So the choice of Tagalog was to influence by its prevalence in literature, its extensive use in communication, and the number of Filipinos who spoke it. While this decision was met with some resistance from speakers of other major Philippine languages. So the government pushed for its implementation. The executive order also stated that the language's adoptions will take effect 2 years after its promulgation, allowing time for its study and gradual acceptance. And now the evolutions from the Tagalog to Filipino. Okay, so over time, the national language continued to develop, eventually evolving into what it is now known as Filipino. So unlike Tagalog, Filipino is more inclusive language that integrates words, expressions, and linguistics elements from various Philippine languages. So it reflecting the country's diverse linguistics and cultural heritage. So these evolutions aim to address criticism that focusing solely on Tagalog did not fully represent all Filipinos. So the impact of the Philippine society, the establishment of a national language had significant cultural and political implications. So it became a tool for national unity, especially in education and governance, and played a key role in shaping Filipino identity. However, debates about linguistic inclusivity and regional representations persist, as many Filipinos continue to advocate for the recognition of other native language alongside Filipino. To conclude it all, the 1935 constitutions and the subsequent policies of the national language were instrumental in defining the linguistic identity of the Philippines. So from the adoptions of Tagalog as the basis of the national language to its evolution into Filipino. So these efforts aim to create a common linguistic thread that unites the Filipinos while recognizing the country's rich linguistic diversity. And that will be all for my discussion. Again, I am Margaret Enriquez, a BSc English 2A student.
Good day everyone, I am Melanie Panizel and I am here to discuss about the Executive Order Number 28 issued in 1937 by then President Manuel L. Quezon. So the Executive Order Number 28, it plays a crucial role in the development of the Filipino national language. So this order established the National Language Institute, later known as the Surian ng Wikang Pambansa, which was tasked with selecting and developing a national language based on existing native Philippine languages. So after careful study, the institute recommended Tagalog as the foundation of the national language due to its extensive literary tradition, wide use, and grammatical structures. So this decision, it aims to promote unity among Filipinos by providing a common language for communication and governance. The teaching of Tagalog as a result of Executive Order Number 28 became a significant step in strengthening national identity. The schools were encouraged to integrate the language into their curriculum, allowing Filipinos from different regions to learn and use it alongside their native dialects. So this policy also laid the groundwork for future language developers' efforts, leading to eventual declaration of Filipino as the national language in the 1987 Constitution. So by promoting the use of Tagalog, the government sought to preserve Philippine culture and foster a sense of patriotism among its citizens.
Good day, Ma'am Taronga. Good day, class. So, I'm Hermeline Lasagas, and the topic that was assigned to me is the impact of Education Act Number 74 on education. So, Education Act Number 74 was passed by the Philippine Commission in 1901 during the American colonial period. So, this law created a public school system in the Philippines and made English the main language of instruction. So it also established the Department of Public Institution, which managed school across the country. So there are major impacts of this law. So number one is the public school were built. Before this law, only a few schools existed, and the most were run by Spanish priests. So after the law was passed, the government built many public schools, making education more accessible to Filipinos. So second is English became the medium of instruction. So this law made English the main language used in schools. American teachers called Thomasites were sent to the Philippines to teach students and train local teachers. So number three is the teacher training schools. The training schools were established. So schools like the Philippines Normal School, now PNU, were created to train Filipino teachers, ensuring the more educators could teach in public schools. So 4 is the free education for Filipinos. So the act helped many poor Filipinos get an education since the government provided the free primary education. Example, before this law, only rich sorry for that. Example, before the law, only rich family could afford education in Spanish. So, in Spanish run schools, but after Education Act Number 74, a poor farmer child could now go to the public school for free, learn English, and later find a good job. So this law played a huge role in shaping the modern Philippine education system, making learning more accessible and preparing Filipinos for future opportunities. I hope you understand. I hope you gain knowledge about that. Sorry for my voice, as much as I wanted to make my voice loud, but my situation won't allow me because I have a fever. Thank you for listening.
The 1935 Constitution, the Executive Order Number 28, and 1937 were a crucial step in promoting Tagalog as the national language of the Philippines, but their implementation was limited to specific areas. Here are some breakdowns. In 1935 Constitution, it mandated the establishment of the national language based on common Tagalog. It didn't specify the language of instruction. This meant that Tagalog was promoted as a subject in school, but other language like English and Spanish continued to use for teaching. The Executive Order Number 28 in 1937, this order established to institute the national language like the Wikang Pambansa with the task of developing the standardizing the national language. While this was a significant step, it still didn't mandate the use of Tagalog as the national instruction.
Good day everyone. Today we will going to explore the different questions about the process evaluation of the mother tongue based multilingual education implementation. It's a summary of our country's language policies in the past century. First we have 1901 Education Act number Multilingual Education Policy. Number 2, 1937 to 1940 Executive Order Number 134 and 263. Number 3, 1957 Revised Education Act. Number 4, 1937 Department Order Number 9 Bilingual Education Policy. Number 5, 1987 DECS Order Number 52. Number 6, 2009 DepEd Number 74 Multilingual Education Policy. So what were the similarities and differences between and among our language policies? Philippines language policies have consistently aimed to balance Filipino, English, and regional language, yet they evolved significantly. A key similarity is the enduring recognition of Filipino and English as a vital language for national communications and education. However, the emphasis on each has varied. Earlier policies favored bilingualism with a strong English focus, while recent shifts like mother tongue-based multilingual education prioritize regional language in early grades. This change stemmed from several factors. The drive to strengthen national identity has consistently promoted Filipino. However, research highlighting the educational benefits of mother tongue instruction, globalization's influence maintain English importance. Finally, a growing appreciation for linguistic diversity drives efforts to preserve regional language. Thus, Philippine language policies reflect a dynamic interplay between national aspirations, educational needs, and global realities. The first question is, how was the language policy, mother tongue based multilingual education being enacted in school? Mother tongue-based education is implemented by making the mother tongue the primary language of instructions in early grade, kindergarten to grade D. This involves teachers using localized materials, conducting lessons in the student's native language, and gradually introducing Filipino and English. The goal is to create a more accessible and effective learning environment for young learners, building a strong foundation in their first language before transitioning to the other language. Number 2, what are the language issues associated with the language policy? First, material development. Creating quality materials for numerous languages is complex and resource intensive. Second, teacher training. Ensuring teachers are proficient and trained in mother tongue based multilingual education methods across diverse languages is a challenge. Next, language standardization. Dialectal variations within language complicate standardization efforts. Next, transitions challenges. Students may struggle transitioning to Filipino and English if the bridging process is inadequate. Next, resource constraints. Funding and research limitations hinder effective implementations. Parental concerns. Some parents worry about the impact on English proficiency. How these issues seem. Evidence and actual language instructions. First, we have material shortage. Teacher using limited, low quality or self-made materials. Next, teacher proficiency. Teachers struggling to explain concepts are lacking confidence in the mother tongue. Next, dialectal differences. Students confused by unfamiliar standard forms of their language. Transitions difficulties. Students struggling with Filipino and English lessons due to inadequate bridging activities. Resource limitations. Overcrowded classrooms and lack of essential teaching aids. Parental concerns. Parents expressing anxiety about children's English development during meetings. Next question. Do you agree or disagree with the policy? So for me, I agree with the core concept of mother tongue-based multilingual education. Using the mother tongue in early education is pedagogically sound, fostering better comprehension and cognitive development. However, the policy success is contingent on effective implementations. The challenges of material development, teacher training, and resource allocation must be addressed to fully realize its benefits. I believe that with sufficient investment and support, mother tongue based multilingual education can significantly improve educational outcomes. In conclusion, the Philippines mother tongue based multilingual education policy uses students' native language for early education, kindergarten to grade 3, aiming to improve learning, while pedagogical sounds it faces challenges, creating materials for many languages, training teachers, standardizing languages, managing the transitions to Filipino and English, resource limits, and parental concerns about English proficiency. Successful implementations require significant investment and support to overcome these hurdles. By the way, I am Arlen T. Comisas, the last reporter of this group.